This episode is brought to you by SteelRoot, a national leader in helping companies meet cybersecurity compliance requirements and prepare for CMMC. Their experienced team of engineers and consultants assist organizations of all sizes to implement and manage IT systems that meet the technical requirements in DFARS and CMMC. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another session of 123 CMMC. My name is Dana Mantilia, and I am the host. And my guest today is Steve Chesser. Hello, Steve. How are you?
I'm doing great, Dana, and thank you so much for having me today. It's nice to speak with you.
Thank you for your time. So we are going to talk about something that is very important: cultural changes in cybersecurity, which is the way we need to go, as opposed to check the box.
Absolutely.
So our first question for you is, what do you feel is the key to better cybersecurity and privacy policies?
Honestly, I think it is all about culture. It's making sure that your entire team is part of the solution. So everybody's looking at things to improve their safety, their security, and their data. That is the key to keeping their customers happy as well. So culture starts at the top, of course, but everybody's involved. It doesn't matter what you do with the company. You have to be part of the solution, because breaches happen every day by people just forgetting to close their computer or something silly like that.
Yep, that's exactly right. And I'm so happy you're talking about that, because everybody, I think, up until this point, unless you really are implementing a good cybersecurity program, they say, oh, I'll just call the IT guy if something happens. You know, he's going to be the big superhero that's going to fly in and fix everything. And then they're going to find out that that's not the case when something does happen.
Well, and historically, the way that cybersecurity gets implemented is you've got somebody at the top that says, okay, today we're all going to learn about phishing. So no more phishing in the company. Yeah. Or somebody says, okay, here we're changing and putting privacy screens. But it's never really a complete group policy. It's not something that everybody gets involved with and makes everyone happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, usually it's here, or sit here and suffer through this 1 hour worth of training, and you're going to poke your eyes out, and we'll do it again next year. You know,
and no matter how good the trainer is, there is nothing exciting about cybersecurity.
This is true. This is true. Okay, so how do we create a secure and privacy culture? Security and privacy culture.
Well, a couple of things that we've done in the past is we want to make sure that we get all of the stakeholders involved. You know, we want the people who are making deliveries on the street, the person that's answering your phones. We want managers are important, but believe it or not, I don't think they're as important. And to get everybody's buy-in, you really have to talk to everybody. Mm-hmm. The best approach we found is to get some type of a tabletop exercise or a war game going. And in tabletop exercise, what you do is you bring everybody in and you say, hey, guys, tell me, what in your area do you think needs work? And once you do that, you build out scenarios. You play games. And we've had really some positive successes with what we call war games. And we will take one division versus another. We split a department up. You get the sales guys. You put one group in sales as the attackers and one group in sales as the defenders. And it's a chess game. And you sit down and they say, okay, well, I know that, Bill leaves his notepad on his desk every day. Yeah. I go over there and copy his things. And, Julie loves to have her windows open so that she can get the sunshine in. But there's a guy sitting outside who's just sitting there taking care of everything she does. But managers don't see that. Executives don't see that. But the people who are actually involved in the day-to-day really get involved in this. Now, we've also offered some pretty interesting, prizes for these. If you win, the other guys are going to take over your shift for a week while we send you off on a trip. Wow. And we had a huge trucking company that had gone out and they lost all of their customers' data. And we're talking in the thousands. So they set it up and they gave a trip to Cancun for the winners of their war games, while the people who lost stayed behind and took over their duties for the week. Now, the other side of that, as soon as the other people got back, they reversed it. So the people who had lost actually got to go on the vacation too, and they created a vacation. But they kept the whole culture going because they would do this once a month. Now, it wasn't that extravagant later on, but you would get a $50 certificate to a dinner, or you would get this, and they did that monthly. So everybody, all of a sudden, they've got security in the front of their mind. And so when they're out there really looking at people for solutions, you have your people. Your people know your business. Your people know where you drop the ball. And those are the guys that are really going to improve your security within the company.
That's an excellent, excellent point. You're absolutely right that the coworkers know each other much, much better than the managers are ever going to really know the inner workings of what's going on throughout the day. And the idea of having that carrot is so huge because it's a continual thing. So it's going on and, oh, what's our next prize going to be? And while you're thinking about the next prize, well, why are we having a prize? Because we're trying to be cyber secure. So that's what you get there. I like that.
And we have customers out there that they don't want that. They want to have, hey, can you send us electronic phishing training every 3 months because it keeps me in compliance with the ABA? Or, hey, we want you to send out breach reports so that our people are scared and they don't want these things to go away. That doesn't involve people. That's a top-down security system. Now, I say that, but 90% of the companies out there today, that's how they handle security. Mm-hmm. You take people off for a day and you go put them in a seminar. You pay for the seminar, you pay for the room, you do that. But your best resource 100% of the time is always going to be the guy sitting in your office and the people that really help you out on a day-to-day basis.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And we just started to touch on this a little bit, but so give us some specifics about what they can do. I know you mentioned everybody, kind of teaming up against each other, but.
Well, so I had a steel trading company, and they got hit by ransomware, and they lost 10 years of records in about a day and a half. They never had an opportunity to pay it. They didn't, they couldn't have gotten together everything they needed to at the time. So we sat down and literally went out to dinner one night, had a drink, and sat there and talked about different scenarios and where did they go wrong. And as it turned out, the reason that they got hit was someone made a mistake within the business. And as well as I do that 95% of all data breaches are created by human error, whether it's on the coding side. I mean, there's lots of things out there. There's malicious actors out there, of course, and everybody sees them and they are increasing every day. Mm-hmm. But it's because the people inside didn't do it. So when you create a tabletop exercise, you can do it a couple of different ways. You can create phishing emails out there to send to people. You can send out something on coding, and if you see something wrong on your computer, do you just click through it? If you have somebody who pops up as a secondary sign-on, is this something normal? Do you report it? How do you handle it? So you can take, and it's almost like a secret shopper program, where you go out and the tabletop exercises, the best ones are the ones that nobody knows about. War games are a little bit different, and I love war games, and I don't know how politically correct war games is to say these days, but that really gets people thinking more indirect, and they put themselves in the place of the malicious actors. They put themselves in the place of customers. They put themselves in the place of employees who are backing off and not doing the right things. So we like to use a combination of those two things. We have to do some of the actual training, that sits down and is boring, and nobody wants to listen to me talk for more than 5-10 minutes at a time. So once you get everybody involved, that's a great thing.
KTL is a Microsoft Gold partner and a CMMC registered provider organization. Their professional team members represent a variety of backgrounds and industries that will map out and guide you on your road to CMMC compliance. The process starts with a dedicated team of CMMC registered practitioners who understand your specific requirements and are here to help every step of the way. KTL Solutions, delivering tailored solutions so you get the most out of your technology. Visit them today at ktlsolutions.com.
But, cybersecurity and privacy, they are top down. Mm-hmm. So you can't just go in there and not include the managers. You can't not include the executives and all of these people. But the best thing to do is make them the grunts and give the guys, that are actually working the problems, the generals. And you can go through and so you get to learn your coworkers and you get to actually know how they feel about cybersecurity. Because 90% of the time, that's and by the way, that's a made up number, I would think that most people don't consider a data breach a danger to the clients. And that is huge. Most of the loss that has happened from a financial standpoint is with the company itself. And, they'll hit different things, and ransomware, of course, does it. But there's a number out of the EU last year that 37% of the financial loss to bank accounts in the EU happened because a customer's information was released. And people think about the Equifax releases. They think about the Home Depot credit card, Target, the things that are very popular. But we had 230 data breaches in the United States last week.
Yeah, it happens so often that people are numb to them. I mean, every time we hear of a data breach, we should be thinking, oh my goodness, that's awful. And instead it's like, oh, there's another one,
I had a customer go, oh, I was looking on the dark web the other day and I found out that somebody's got my social security number. I'm like, there is not a single person in the United States whose social security number isn't on the dark web because the Social Security Administration got breached. And so it's out there for everybody.
Absolutely.
And, they were smart enough that they hired Equifax to come in and fix their breach problems 2 weeks after Equifax was breached.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, there's a $3 billion contract. So,
well, so you talked a little bit about real world, seeing that's actually be implemented in a positive way. And I'm sure you've seen some not so good stories that have happened too. So what kind of real world stuff would you like to share with us?
Well, let's take coastal logistics. So coastal logistics is a very employee-centric company. There's 10 people in their office, but there's about 85 people out there on the road. And they work with iPads, cell phones, all provided by the company. And they had a 4-month-long breach that they didn't catch in time because nobody really worries about mobile device management. And somebody had left their iPad in the truck seat at a 7-Eleven. That got stolen, and the guy didn't report it because he didn't want to pay for it. He didn't have enough money, so he didn't report it. He just had his boss transfer everything to his iPhone. So from there, they opened up just a world of hurt, and it was 4 months before it was even detected. Now, we went in with them, and we did tabletop exercises. What happens when you lose this? What happens when you do that? And so they took all of their information and found a way to secure them and how to put in mobile device management. So the second that it's missing, you can wipe all the data and you prevent the breaches into your system. But the first thing they had to do was get rid of that fear that if you turn this, if you say it's stolen or you lost it, then you have to pay for it. And that was a hard one for the company. But that came from the employees, from sitting down and talking to the guys out there. They said, we have to sign off for everything. We have to make sure that we do it. We're responsible for this. So they had to change their entire culture of, hey, we're more concerned with protecting your privacy and your rights and your data and our customers' privacy, rights, and data than we are about a $200 iPad. And once we change that culture within the company, I'm going to knock on wood, we've not had a breach. We haven't had anybody coming. We don't have any intrusion detection results of people trying to get in, other than standard phishing things that happen every day. I mean, in the United States, there is a phishing attack or a hacker attack every 39 seconds. 2,244 times a day, people actually get hit. But this was a company that was primed for it. They were ripe. They were all over the Western United States, and it's eliminated. And the people did it. It was the employees' ideas that we used in this, plus some of the tools that we have at our disposal, and it's really made a huge difference in the company. I mentioned earlier the company that lost 10 years of records. They are now probably the most secure company I've ever did because it took them 4 months and luckily they had old paper that they brought in and they reinstilled everything and they got on the web and they did that. But their overall costs have gone down. Their total cost of ownership for their equipment, for their security, for the way that they handled things, and they've gone to a paper-free office. So their total cost of ownership for all of their networking has gone down about 15%. So that gives them the ability to do their job and to do it better and feel good about what you're doing.
Yes, well, getting the people involved, that's the best part of what you're talking about right now. So I'm glad you keep doing that. Okay, so who's the most vulnerable to cyber attacks and data breaches? Vulnerable.
I always throw that in there to people because it's the hardest word to say. Honestly, it's small businesses. Small businesses don't put it in their budget to put the tools out there and to get the right things. And they think that, hey, I've only got 5 people here. Well, those 5 people may be doing $3 to $5 million. And ransomware attacks, the cost of a ransomware attack has gone up 47% just in 2020. And they expect that to go up another 50% in 2021. And so when a small company gets hit, it takes everything they have. And cyber insurance covers some things, but not other things. So when you're looking at that, there was so in a small business, 90% of all computers are going to be a Microsoft computer. 85% of all cyber attacks go to Microsoft computers. And one of the big fallacies out there is that because you're small and you don't have a big budget, you don't have the ability to get the kind of tools you need. And there are thousands of companies across the United States that are also, some of them are 2 and 3 man units, but they have some of the most sophisticated tools in the world now for intrusion detection. It's web-based. The antivirus is actually fantastic if you keep things patched. And remote monitoring is one of the best things that they can have somebody do, because 65% of the companies the small businesses that got a cyber attack couldn't recover. And they either went out of business or sold. And a lot of that, these are family businesses that have been around forever.
Yep.
But they're not cyber companies. And they always assume that it's not going to happen to me because who would want to hit my little 10-man operation?
Well, I always say to them, because they always say, nobody's going to attack me because they don't have any value for my information. But then I say, well, what about how valuable your information is to you?
Yeah.
That's the thing. Yeah, you're right. Maybe they don't need it or want it or going to do anything with it, but they know that you want it and you'll pay to get it back.
Absolutely. And the thing is, the way that ransomware happens, ransomware is never meant to put a company out of business.
Right. They want you to pay.
They want you to pay. And so it's been where they will only ask you for, sometimes it's $1,000. Sometimes it's $5,000. But they know the size of your company because as soon as they're in, they know what you've got. And so they'll take a percentage because they want you to pay. And they're going to keep it low enough that's not going to get the FBI involved. So, they're not stupid when it comes to these things. And so you have to be smarter than they are. Or if you're not, you have to work with somebody who is.
That's the key, making sure you're working with someone who knows what they're doing. Good point. Well, thank you very, very much for your time and all this awesome information. And the best thing I thought was getting the people involved, because you are really one of the first people I've spoken to that has drilled down to that level. And that makes me very happy to hear. So thank you.
I think culture does everything, and that's what makes a difference in the way we live our lives. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you very, very much for your time, Steve. I appreciate that. And thank you, everybody, for listening. We'll see you on the next one.
Thank you. I had a great time. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.
This episode is brought to you by SteelRoot, a national leader in helping companies meet cybersecurity compliance requirements and prepare for CMMC. Their experienced team of engineers and consultants assist organizations of all sizes to implement and manage IT systems that meet the technical requirements in DFARS and CMMC.